This entire military is one cohesive, dedicated force. And the threats to our nations, they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gab-fed show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. You have the code of a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you never stood for. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.com.
And do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Welcome to TruckerMouth, the podcast that gives you real insight into the trucking industry while providing a platform for your voice to be heard. Whether you're behind the wheel, managing logistics, or just passionate about the industry, this is the place to build confidence, share experiences, and stay informed. Join us as we tackle the challenges, celebrate the wins, and drive forward together.
Hey, hello, everybody. Welcome to my underground bunker studio. I'm TruckerMouth, and you're on the road show. So here on the road, I got to take your glasses off for every goddamn thing. Here on the road, we discuss issues in the transportation industry, not limited to just the trucking. It could be, cargo ships. It could be trains. I mean, it could be, cargo planes. Anything to do with transportation industry. Do a lot on the trucking though, because I am TruckerMouth. So today we're going to discuss the use of personal conveyance in the trucking industry. Okay, personal conveyance is the use of a commercial motor vehicle for personal use as off duty. So you're off duty, you're off the books, your time's up, and you got to use this for your own personal use. Okay, when it's off duty only when he or she is relieved from work by the motor carrier. Okay. The truck can also be used while in laden, which means you can be pulling the truck. You can be pulling your trailer with it, as long as it's not being used for the benefit of the motor carrier. And personal conveyance does not count against truck drivers' hours of service. So this is all on your own time. After you ended your log, you're sitting there and you want to go to a restaurant that you like because you've been in the area before or something. You can disconnect, put a kingpin lock on there, and go up to the restaurant. Or if it's a truck stop, keep the trailer on and pull it on. Somewhere to make your life a little better out there. You can use personal conveyance. Personal conveyance went into effect as we know it. The system's followed today. June 7th of 2018. I didn't know a lot of personal conveyance. I did personal conveyance already. It's called not logging. It's called ending your log and just going and then catching up tomorrow on your log, on a different log, on your next day's log, just driving. And you couldn't fuel or anything because you're driving, off the log. But that's what we did. And everybody did it. So to come out with this personal conveyance to try to, see, now everything's ELDs. I didn't run ELDs much. I already had ELDs I ran for like 6 months, and then I got into triaxle last local triaxle job the last year and a half of my driving career, which TruckerMouth can't drive a truck no more because they took it from him. All right, so he's not a happy TruckerMouth. Okay. Yeah, so don't count against the driver's hours of service. There's a lot of misuse and misinterpretation of the personal conveyance also. There we go. It's a bigger picture. So, there's a lot of misuse of it. And hell yeah, truck drivers going to misuse personal conveyance. If I'm at a place, if my hour of service ends somewhere, and I know that 30 miles down the road there's a truck stop with a bar restaurant right like next to it, I'm going there. And when you go across the scales and they pull you back, what are you doing? Well, I'm going up to the truck stop. Well, that's okay. You can't be 3 hours after you end your log, say you're on personal conveyance, I ain't gonna get it. But yeah, man, it's a good thing. And I'm sure people are using it for. I know drivers said they used it to finish the run. They had 60 miles to go or 70 miles to go to their destination, and they could sleep in the lot and be one of the first in line. Hell yeah, they're gonna do that. They're gonna try to do it anyway. So I'm glad they come out with that for them guys out there now because they need it. In 2022, the Commercial Vehicle Safety Alliance argued that 61% of violations logged as personal conveyance were attempts to conceal hours of service violations. Yeah, I'm sure. 61% of the violations logged as PC were attempts to conceal. Yeah, they were running over their hours. And I got shut down already at a truck stop for running over my hours. I had kind of a good reason. I was in a rest area, and there wasn't many people in the rest area. It wasn't a real big one. And you could park, this way. You didn't have to park in the slots. You could park right along as you come in. This car comes up and parks beside me. And why is this car parked beside me? And like I said, there was literally hardly anyone else in the rest area. So I let it go for a little bit, think, well, maybe he's just doing something. I looked over again, his car's parked right there with the light on. There's people in it. I was like, man, something's up here. So I didn't ask them about it. I just, it was a while. It was an hour or so. So I just started the truck up and I left. And then up the road, not too far, was a weigh station in Maryland. Well, here they were having a 72-hour crackdown on trucks. So I had not easy pass, but easy pre-pass, where you could bypass these weigh stations. I thought, well, what they do is they go on a carrier's safety record, and I was running with Martin. Martin didn't have a good safety record. They pulled me in. I told him what happened. They pulled me around back. Well, he asked me to see my log, and I told him, I said, look, I'm running because here's what happened up there, not too far up the road here. He said, he says, pull around back, come in. They said, no. Why ain't you call the cops? I said, I'm not calling the cops, just left. Well, like I said, then Maryland was having a 72-hour crackdown. I got the red light. You got a red light and a green light for pre-pass. I got the red light, pull in. So I got what was that? Almost a $300 fine and shut down for, I'm not in the middle of nowhere yet. There's nothing around there. 48 hours? No. 34 hours. I guess it was 34 hours I was shut down for. It sucked. Then they were assholes to me. They had a snack machine there, and that's it. So yeah, they're definitely trying to hide their hour service violations. But I had a legitimate reason for leaving. I don't know what this fucking people were doing. And the Commercial Vehicle Safety Alliance petitioned the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration in 2022 to create a maximum distance and a timeline regarding a driver's personal use of commercial motor vehicle, a driver's personal use of a commercial motor, which is personal conveyance, and both time petitions were denied. So stuttering again. So the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, or the Commercial Vehicle Safety Alliance petitioned the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration to try to do that. Give them a maximum distance on personal conveyance and a timeline, how long you can use it, which that's coming. That they're going to put something on there. Now, I ran into drivers already that told me that they could go like, see, your carrier knows where you're at. Okay, your carrier knows where you're at, what you're doing, if you're off duty, what they have, all that information goes to them through satellite link. And I think these carriers already give their people like so many miles because that's their diesel. I mean, if they're going 45 miles one way and then 45 miles back in the morning to pick the trailer up, that's 90 miles. What are you getting, 7 miles a gallon per diesel gallon? I mean, yeah, so they're paying the diesel, so they're going to be watching that. I don't think they need to do anything with this. So several examples of appropriate use of personal conveyance. So I'll read a couple of these. I wrote a bunch of them down. Like I said, TruckerMouth needs a printer. And he needs Wi-Fi. I got a new laptop. Well, it's a refurbished laptop. It's wet clean. Helped me out with a lot of this, but I get a printer. But anyway, okay, so several examples of proper use of personal conveyance are time spent traveling from where a driver's parked for the night to restaurants and entertainment facilities. So if he's parked at say he's a shipper, he got shipped and you're at the park area, he loaded. You can disconnect and then drive to a restaurant, or somewhere that that's in the area or somewhere someone tells you this is places at something you're looking for. Maybe a Walmart. Maybe you want to get, some food for your truck or things like that. Some toiletry items and things such like that. Shower items. So, commuting between driver's terminal and his or her residence, connecting between trailer drop lots and driver's residence and work sites and driver's residence. So, you're allowed to drive between a terminal and their residence with the truck, or a trailer drop lot or work site. I guess if it's not too far and then your carrier allows you to, and that's legal. So, time spent traveling to nearby safe location to obtain rest after lodging or loading or unloading. Yeah, time spent after loading or unloading, run out of hours. You want to a safe location to park. You're allowed to do that. Time spent moving a commercial motor vehicle at request of a safety official. So if somebody tells you that you got to move your truck, you got to move your truck and use PC if you're out of hours. Time spent traveling in a motor coach. This is, I guess, for bus drivers without passengers to place of lodging, motel, truck stop, or rest or entertainment facilities and back. So if you're driving, so that's your motor coach is a bus. With no passengers on board, you're allowed to go to place of lodging, motel, or truck stop and rest and entertainment facilities and back with an empty bus, motor coach. Transport personal property while off duty. You're allowed to do that with personal conveyance. Authorized use of commercial vehicle to travel home after working at off-site location. So there's a lot of good things you can use that for. A lot of things it's legal for, as long as it don't benefit the motor carrier, is what they're looking at. As long as you're not using, this to pretty much go further and do more for the motor carrier, then it's allowed under the personal conveyance law. So it's just a bunch of them that I wrote down that are legal. So there we got. So there's also 8 scenarios that would not qualify as legal for personal conveyance. So bypassing available rest locations in order to go closer to your next pickup or delivery or other carrier destinations. That would be benefiting the motor carrier. Actually, it would be benefiting you because you're getting closer, or you can get there. And like I said, they're gonna put limitations on that. Like I said, the carriers already know. Carriers already know where you're at, what line you're on, and they also they were going to come up with another line on your ELD that is personal conveyance. But that's one of them that the Commercial Vehicle Safety Alliance wanted to do, and they shot it down. So yeah, continuation of a commercial motor vehicle trip in interstate commerce in order to fulfill business purposes. Yeah, benefit the motor carrier. Time spent driving a passenger carrying vehicle. Time spent driving a passenger carrying. See, I can't read my writing sometimes. I need a printer. While passengers on board. So time spent driving a passenger carrying commercial motor vehicle while passengers on board. So I guess if you're a bus driver, you're out of hours if there's people on board. This is the illegal ones right here. See, this is I'm a little tongue-tied here. Time spent transporting a commercial motor vehicle to a facility to have vehicle maintenance performed. I don't know why you can't do that while in personal conveyance. You're going to a facility to have vehicle maintenance performed. And whereas you can probably say it's your trailer, you can probably go there, put your trailer in line or whatever and go to sleep. I don't know why that would be illegal, but it is. So another example of an illegal use of personal conveyance is after being placed out of service for exceeding the maximum periods under Part 395, time spent driving to locations to get required rest unless directed by an enforcement officer. So if you've been placed out of service like I was for running over hours, you can't use personal conveyance to go to a rest area. That's fucking motor coach. I ain't reading that. There's no regulations on personal conveyance. Okay, the Commercial Vehicle Safety Alliance wants to regulate the time you can use PC and miles driven, and that's what they're trying to do. Put a timeline on it and how many miles you can run. Well, like I said, your carrier already knows how many miles you're running. They're already on top of that. And you can't violate one law to comply with another. So commercial motor vehicles driver's time is already overregulated in terms of when they can drive, when they can rest. Because there's so many laws and stipulations and that it drives a lot of people out of the industry. It really does. OIDA President Todd Spencer wrote in comments to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration in 2024, there should be no additional restrictions on how a driver can use their own personal time. We have supported the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration's denial of petitions that would establish personal conveyance limits. So OIDA, which is the Owner-Operator Independent Driver Association, supports the denial of the petitions from the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. Yeah, because they're from the driver. If the Commercial Vehicle Safety Alliance wants to limit a driver's use of the personal conveyance, the FMCSA must first provide data of negative safety outcomes of it. So they just can't put the kiboshes on it. They got to show proof of what it did. Examples of how it is dangerous or such. The CVSA, which I said is Commercial Vehicle Safety Alliance, said that violation code 395 80 IPS was added to roadside inspection software in June 2021. Enforcement officials have cited 3,041 violations using that code through January 28th. So they got 3,041 violations that caught people using commercial or personal conveyance. That's what I get out of it. So the violation code 395 was added to roadside inspection software in June. So these guys got burnt using personal conveyance for. Enforcement officials have cited 3,041 violations using that code through January 28th. However, FMSCAs said that the data shows violations for misuse of personal conveyance are already being enforced. So these violations of people are getting caught using this without these restrictions on it. violations for missing personal conveyance are already being enforced. Yes. Without these restrictions, like I said. The preliminary violation data suggests officials already identified drivers with hours of service violations. I'm tongue-tied today. Hours of service violations related to the personal conveyance misuse without time or distance limits. So they're already on top of this without putting restrictions on it. So TruckerMouth's final thoughts? Leave personal conveyance alone. It's one of the niceties that a road driver has to make his life just a little bit better out there, because there ain't many at all. If you ask me, half time the only thing good about running the road is the paycheck, which, I made good money. I don't know if everybody does, but I did. You give up everything to do it, but I made good money out there. I wish I could do it. I can't never drive road on again. I drive a regular truck, a non-CDL truck. Believe me, there's not many. The industry needs this perk to retain drivers and recruit more people into the truck driving industry. That's truck drivers' final thought on the first part of my program. And we will return with the Iran-Israeli conflict. Come on back with TruckerMouth.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back on the road. I'm TruckerMouth. And now we're going to discuss the second part of my show, which is probably going to be next week's full show, or at least half of it, is the Iran-Israeli conflict. Now, in TruckerMouth's opinion, it's bad enough that we have, Russia and Ukraine over there, okay? And them poor people in them countries are getting blowed up, this and that, because there is no Geneva Convention laws. No one abides by them but the U.S., like not blowing up civilian areas. They do it, and they all do it, but us. So this one we'll talk about today, and I just hope that things don't really get bad, because they could with this. Iran ain't no one to mess with, because they're in alliance all their own with their savage freaking countries over there. So the Iran-Israeli conflict, the wars started, a lot of it, back in 1979. Is ideological, political, strategic, and regional rivalries after the Iranian Revolution. So after the Iranian Revolution, things got bad between Israel and Iran. So after the revolution, Ayatollah Khomeini, the new Islamic Republic, took a strong anti-Israeli stance, calling for the elimination of the Zionist regime. So after the revolution, now Ayatollah Khomeini came in there. That's when they didn't like Israel, because Israel is an ally of ours, but they're not in NATO because of their location. To be in NATO, you got to be in Europe or in a certain region, and they're affiliated with NATO. They're protection for peace or something like that. So Iran began supporting groups opposed to Israel, especially Palestine and Lebanon militants, always funded and armed Hezbollah and Hamas, which are both hostile to Israel. So Iran always funded these groups. And they hate Israel because Israel aligns with us a lot of times. When I was in the Navy, we had Israeli jets land on our carrier. This is what I heard. I mean, I seen foreign ones. They said it was Israelis. And we were actually stopped in Israel, in Haifa, which is a seaport there. We stopped in Israel. So Iran's nuclear power raised alarm in Israel, which sees it as a nuclear-armed Iran as an extremist threat. Fuck, well, hell yeah. And you can't let Iran have nuclear power, because they don't care. They don't care who they use that on. Iran has been accused of cyber attacks like Stuxnet, assassinations of Iranian scientists, and airstrikes on Iranian assets in Syria to stop Iran nuclear capability and influence. So they've been accused of cyber attacks and assassinations of scientists and airstrikes on Iranian shit. Yeah. Stop the nuclear. Yeah, we can't let them. From Tehran, which is Iran's capital, to Tel Aviv, Israel, which is Israel's major city, in their distance is 1,600 kilometers, approximately 1,000 miles. So these countries don't border each other. So these rockets are flying over different countries, but they're 1,000 miles apart. And why can't the U.S. just help them with that? Do like we're doing with Ukraine. Give them the weapons of war. Let them do the fighting. Because I don't want to see us strike Iran. I don't like Iran. I mean, they're in with Iraq, Afghanistan, all of them. They're like the NATO, the black market NATO. So yeah, they're just quite 1,000 miles apart. These cities are. We let Iran have nuclear power. Here's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. We give Iran nuclear power. Because they might send it over here. People don't care. They hate us. All them countries in a line together hate us. They'd rather see us dead. They cut Americans' heads off. They don't care. Iran's bordered by Iraq, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. Iran's bordered by Iraq, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. Israel is a much smaller country on the eastern shore of the Mediterranean Sea, bordered Lebanon, Syria, and Jordan. Yeah, they're on the Mediterranean Sea, eastern shore. We stopped there. It said Haifa. Bordered Lebanon, Syria, and Jordan. And Egypt. Lebanese people don't like them. Syria, no. I don't know about Georgia, and I don't know about Egypt either. So Israel is pretty much surrounded by countries that oppose them. Israel often aligns with the U.S. and Sunni Arab states. I guess that means like Saudi Arabia, I imagine, and such of countries like that. So do you know, now there's this stuff here you probably didn't know. Do you know that the U.S. is not depending on Iraq oil, but Iran, I can't say Iran. U.S. is not depending on Iranian oil, but Iran's impact on global oil prices. So Iran, again, like I said, Iran has a lot of influence on global oil prices, which means our gas prices. Because there's a lot of oil come out of Iran, but we don't do it. We're not depending on Iran for trade. Trade's near existent with Iran because of sanctions. So we don't do nothing with Iran. The U.S. sees Iran more as a rival than partner in the Middle East. Iran's actions can disrupt U.S. interests, though. See, that's why we just can't go in there and violate them. Plus, it'd be all them innocent people. I don't want to see our U.S. bombing them. I don't know. It's just me. But I think there's going to be repercussions to that. There'll be other countries getting involved. Yemen. I mean, Iraq's going to. Whoever else. Anyone who's a cheap shots. Top source. The U.S. is the world's number one oil producer. Right here in the United States is the world's number one oil producer with 12 million barrels a day. Most come from Texas, New Mexico, North Dakota, and the Gulf of Mexico. I never knew that. Top source of U.S. oil imports is domestic. The U.S. is the world's number one oil producer. Well, I never fucking knew that. I probably no one else did. Well, most people didn't either. U.S. gets most of the oil from Canada, actually. So we don't want to put a lot of tariffs on them. We're getting a lot of the stuff we do import. Canada is 61% of that. Mexico, 10%. Saudi Arabia, 5 to 7%. Followed by Colombia, Brazil. U.S. gets no oil from Iran. So we don't need nothing from them towelheads over there. Nothing. U.S. military. There's 40,000 U.S. military troops in the Middle East, even after Pete Hezbollah authorized a voluntary departure of all military dependents in the region. And there's still 40,000 active duty troops in there. So Pete Hezbollah, which is defense secretary, last week authorized voluntary departure of all military dependents in the region in anticipation of potential threats. So they're already, we got 40,000 troops to watch out over there. U.S. ships warships in the Middle East in response to Israeli strikes. So here we are. We got the Navy involved. This is going to be, this could turn out big. And the region has several major U.S. military bases. Udeid Air Base in Qatar is the regional headquarters for U.S. Central Command. And several in Kuwait, which borders Iran. So we have bases, in the country Qatar, a big air base was the regional headquarters, and then several in Kuwait, which border right next to Iran. So we got in striking distance right there. New York Times reported U.S. intelligence assets have received Iran's plans to attack U.S. bases in the Middle East if U.S. joins Israel's military offense against Iran. So they're already gearing up for a big fucking blow up, man. They're already gearing up for this. Someone trying to get my door. Sound like. To counter threats, U.S. naval officials directed 2 destroyers to the East Mediterranean Sea for possible force protection missions. So now we got 2 destroyers. Other naval assets are on standby. U.S. also sending a second carrier strike group to the region. So we got, carrier groups out there, and destroyers and shit ready to blow stuff up, man. This is big. This could get real big and we can loot. Like I said, it's bad enough with Russia and Kuwait. But Israel, I don't know. I guess Israel's not in NATO because of its location, but it is in a form of NATO with the protection for peace. U.S. has already begun direct support for Israelis defense, helping intercept Iranian missiles. U.S. has already begun direct support, for Israel defense, intercepting Iranian missiles aimed at Tel Aviv and other cities after two adversities began exchanging missile attacks. So we're already, I see that, intercept, we'll give them weapons. Well, we already have the weapons to intercept the missiles, but we can help them out with that. So Trump said, I could tell you this, Iran's got a lot of trouble and they want to negotiate. Hopefully they do. Hopefully Iran negotiates. What started this here conflict was what? Israel blew up a nuclear uranium site or something like that. They got this going. We can't let them have nuclear power. They're savages, man. Look at the people who took down the towers. What kind of people do that? Just kill thousands of people. Okay, so in TruckerMouth's opinion,
Bluetooth mode.
TruckerMouth's opinion, hopefully Iran and Israel can come to terms before we have another world war. And that just save millions of lives, man, and probably maybe a couple thousand of our own. Who knows? That could end up being boots on the ground. U.S. troops, boots on the ground. All right, everybody. So we're at the end of the road. Thanks for coming on for Around the Road with TruckerMouth.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.